Hi everybody, my name is Mr. Francy and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. Okay, so today I'm doing my reading vlog covering all of the reading that I've done between the dates of the 21st and the 27th of May 2023. There's a lot of 20s going on there. Alright. Let's put Pros and Cons by Amanda Flower up on the screen. I have now finished this book, and I remember saying to you all in my last reading vlog, I was saying that I only had an hour left of this book and that I was projecting it to be a 5-star read because it was just such a fantastic book. And then I said, but the last hour can be a make or break because it comes down to the reveal. If I love the reveal, I'm going to give it 5 stars. And if I don't love the reveal, then it will go back to 4 stars. My word. Am I glad I said that to y'all? Because, you guys, the reveal was a massive flop. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting the flop of the reveal at the end of this book at all. So this book is going to get 4 stars from me, and the only reason I'm deducting a star, I need to be very clear about this, is because of just how much the reveal let me down. I am so glad that I was an hour away from being done with this book when I did my reading vlog last week, so you could get all my thoughts and feelings on how I was at that time, because at that time, as you'll know, I was loving this book. And then the disaster that was this reveal took place, and it just really let me down. But don't let that take away from the 4 stars that I am giving this book. So the basic premise of this one is that Violet is with the Red Anchors as they have a meeting the night before. They are to host a poetry reading of the works of Edgar Allan Poe. The following morning, Anastasia, one of the members of the Red Anchors, cannot be found, and as her turn approaches nearer, Violet goes off to look for her. She eventually finds her dead in the kitchen, but is what seemingly looks like an accidental death actually murder? And why is Violet's friend Sadie being accused of the murder when she would never hurt a fly? Against Chief Officer Rainwater's requests, Violet sets out to solve the case. So, to my thoughts and feelings. Okay. So, as I was saying to you all in my last reading vlog, even with only 100 pages left, this book was destined for 5 stars from me. I love the plot, the mystery, the animals, the characters, the bookstore, the cozy aspects, everything. It's definitely a world I've fallen in love with, and I cannot wait to read book 3. However, what was with the reveal? Arguably the worst reveal I've read in an Amanda Flower book, and that is saying something, as all of Amanda Flower's reveals to this point for me have been amazing. So, when I do my CSL Completed SAS List series review of Magical Bookshop, I'll go into some spoilers and discuss what let me down with the reveal. But if you've read it, you know, and if you can't wait for that review because I'm only on book 2 at the moment, then head on over to Goodreads and you can check out my review over there. I have a spoiler tag, so you can check it out in further detail. But the reveal was a big letdown for me. Everything else was good, but the way with which the reveal happened was an absolute letdown worthy of a 1-star discussion. But I will definitely continue on because I do love the series so much. But yeah, the reveal. I mean, man, seriously, Amanda Flower, we need to have some words. Like, it was just, issues, massive issues. It's not right. It's not fair. Look, I can't say anything. Amanda Flower has written many a cozy. And I had a letdown with a reveal in another cozy that I read this week. And I started thinking, yes, I'm going to continue to give the star rating that I give for a book based on my opinions of that book on its own. But also, I'm going to step back and appreciate that cozy mystery authors of many cozy mystery books, I need to come from a place of appreciating that it's not always going to be easy to find different ways to do different reveals when you've written so many cozy books to this point. So I understand that it's not easy to come up with all these different types of reveals, but in saying that, judging this book on its own merits, the reveal did let me down to the significance of a whole star deduction. And that's why this book gets 4 stars from me. But everything prior to the reveal was 5 stars worthy. But ultimately, 4 stars from me, and I will continue on with the series. I love the series. I just hope the reveal in the next book is going to be better. All right, the next book that I picked up and read was a book that actually wasn't originally on my TBR. So the month of May was the month of, depending on when you're listening to this, the month of my birthday. And on a day that was close to my birthday, my mother came down near to where I live, and we went out and we went to what you in America might call the mall. We spent the day together. It was a lot of fun. And while we were there, I came across a book that I have been wanting since I started my channel, dagnammit, okay? All right, let me give you a bit of a backstory. Some of you all love Mr. Francy story time, and some of you probably don't, but we're here now, so let's give you the story so you can have context. Okay, so it was a warm summer's day back in January of 2020, and Mr. Francy was bored. He went down a rabbit hole of YouTube looking up Harry Potter things, then came across a particular YouTuber by the name of Murphy Napier. Murphy was reviewing the Harry Potter series, but she was reviewing the books. Mr. Francy came to learn there is such a thing as BookTube, and that's when Mr. Francy Reads was born. End of story. Okay, now that you know that, I end up following Murphy after watching that Harry Potter video that she did, and she actually inspired me. I watched a lot of her videos after that, and she inspired me to start my own channel. And if you know Murphy, you'll know this. Her favorite book of all time is Peter Pan, and she has many, many different editions of Peter Pan, not just in English, but in other languages as well, because of how much she loves it. I have a story that I love as much as Murphy loves with Peter Pan. And for me, that is Aladdin. Now, I need to be specific to you. I am referring to the animated version of Aladdin, because we will not talk about the live action movie. Not here, no, no. No, that is not canon. It's the animated one or nothing. But anyway, I loved Aladdin as a child, and ever since I started my BookTube channel, I wanted to find the book of Aladdin. And all I could find was that Aladdin is a book that features in a number of short stories, like an omnibus, called 1001 Arabian Nights. I did not want that because I wasn't after 1001 Arabian Nights. I was after just Aladdin, and I wanted to have an Aladdin collection for my bookshelf. Anyway, my mum and I were in a store that is a store that has many different things, not just a bookstore, but a part of the things they have is books, and they had a picture book of Aladdin, which is just incredible, the animated version. So I picked it up and was having a look at it, and I told my mum I couldn't believe I finally found an Aladdin book. I was so happy. It's the animated version with all the pictures and the original story, and it made my day. And next thing I know, my mother purchased it for me, and I brought it home and I read it right away. So the next book I read was this book, Aladdin. This particular book is being credited as being by Walt Disney, so I'm going to say that that is the author because I don't have another author here. And this is I don't even know what I would call this, a middle grade fantasy, I suppose. A middle grade fantasy, middle grade classic. Let's call it a middle grade fantasy, but yeah, it's either or. Okay, so let me discuss the premise of this book and my thoughts and feelings, but just know that I am sitting in my feelings right now. I am so happy that I have this book. It is so good. If you all know where I can get multiple versions of different editions of Aladdin in book form, the animated version, please let me know in the comments below. It would make my day to fill my shelves with different Aladdin animated editions of books. Alright, so the premise of this book is that Aladdin is a street urchin who has been living off of whatever scraps he can find. Jasmine is the princess who is being forced to marry a prince but wants to marry for love. Jafar, the Sultan's advisor, wants to marry Jasmine and rule Agrabah, which is where the book is set. But when Jafar finds the Cave of Wonders with a lamp inside that will grant him 3 wishes, he's advised that only one may enter the cave, that one being Aladdin. Jafar tracks down Aladdin to retrieve the lamp for him, but doesn't calculate one thing. Aladdin's pet monkey, Abu, steals the lamp back, and while he and Aladdin are trapped in the cave, they discover the lamp's genie, and now the 3 wishes are theirs. Is there a way for Aladdin to have a happily ever after, or will Jafar get his revenge? So to my thoughts and feelings, as I said, I've been looking for this book as a standalone for years. I'm so happy that I have it. The book's illustrations were exactly that of the animated movie I grew up loving, and the book stayed 100% true to the animated film also. What else can I say about it? I just love this story so much. I didn't grow up as what they call in this book and film a street urchin, but I didn't grow up exactly, well, rich financially, but my mother always had this great saying, which is, we may not be rich financially, but we are rich in love. And that is something that I've always held within me to this day. I think, a lot of people say money makes the world go round. I believe love does. So I very quickly found that I related and connected on a deep level to Aladdin and Aladdin's struggles and Aladdin's wants and needs and things like that. And that's, I think, a big part of what made me fall in love with the film. But the film has so much heart behind it. I also have to say, flipping from the hero side to the villain side, I am yet to come across a better villain, correct me if I'm wrong, than Jafar from the animated Disney version of Aladdin. I think Jafar is such a maniacal yet clever and calculated villain. I think he is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I love Aladdin for so many reasons. I'm so happy I have this book. Does it surprise you that I gave an overwhelming 5 stars? I hope not. It is so good, and I'm so happy I have this book on me, if you can't tell already. 5 stars from me. I highly recommend, if you can get your own copy of the Disney animated version of Aladdin, whether to watch it or to read it, then absolutely I suggest you do, because it is fantastic. Just, with me, my preference alone, we do not on this channel talk about the live action remake. It was fine. There were some things that were done that I thought were good, but aside from that, it is not canonical. No. And we just stick with the animated version. Thank you very much. Okay. I mean, so much I could say, but this is a book channel, so the book was great. 5 stars from me. Let's move on to the next book I read. So the next book that I read was this book, A Perilous Pal by Laura Bradford. This is book number 2, and so far, the final book in the Perilous Pal cozy mystery series, and it's an adult cozy mystery. And I gave this book an overwhelming 5 stars. Okay. I have so much to say and not a lot of time to say it in. I'll start by saying Laura Bradford has apparently said that she's going to release another book in this series. I really, really, really hope she does, because this series is exactly what I want with my cozies. If you are looking for a cozy mystery that is cozy dominant, that is cozy leaning and therefore not mystery leaning, this is where you go. I don't think I've read a more cozy leaning cozy mystery series than this one. And I put the challenge out to all of my viewers and my subscribers who read cozies. If you've come across a more cozy mystery than the Friend for Hire series, please let me know. I gotta read that series right now, because this was like the warmest hug, this whole experience of reading book 1 and book 2. So far it's only a duology, but because it's only a duology so far, I have now wrapped up this series. It was on my SAS list, so I've now finished it, and I will do that CSL completed SAS list series review on this as soon as I can. Alright, so let's get to my thoughts and feelings, because my goodness do I love this duology so much. Okay, so the premise of this one, so I'll just tell you a quick backstory actually. The premise of the series is that we follow a woman by the name of Emma Westlake, who ends up running a business called Friend for Hire, where you can hire her to be your friend and do friend things with. I can't think of any idea for a setup for a cozy mystery series that is any more cozy then having the protagonist put themselves in a position to be a friend that someone hires to do friend things with. It's so extremely cozy. I love it so much. Oh my gosh, I could gush all day. All right, premise of book 2. In this one, we continue to follow Emma Westlake and her friend for hire business. One day, while at her octogenarian friend Dottie's house, Emma receives an email from a woman who seems to be quite down on her luck. She'd spent her whole life caring for and indeed living for her husband and her 2 children, but her husband has now left her for someone only a few years older than her son, and both children have flown the coop and don't need her anymore. Emma decides to meet up with the woman, and the pair discuss things they could potentially do together. The woman suggests things like going to a dessert bar and maybe having a book club, and multiple ways they could kill her ex-husband for revenge. The following morning, the ex winds up dead, and Emma's client is taken into custody for his death. But Emma knows she's innocent, and with the persuasion of Dottie, they come together to try and solve the case. So to my thoughts, I love this series so much. It is cozy to the extreme. The idea of friend for hire for the cozy side of the book makes so much sense. Add to that Dottie and Emma's dog Scout, and it's a recipe for an amazing journey. I'm sad that I'm up to date with the series and just live on some sort of hope that Laura Bradford releases another book in the series soon, but an overwhelming 5 stars from me. If you love your cozy mysteries to be like a warm hug that is extremely cozy leaning, you need to pick up this duology. Oh my goodness, I had never read a Laura Bradford book before, and now, having read this duology, I'm kind of ashamed to say I've never read a Laura Bradford book before, because if all of her books are as cozy as these 2 in the Friend for Hire mystery series, what have I been doing with myself? So if y'all have read, any of you out there who have read Laura Bradford's works, I'm putting a call out to you all. Please, in the comment section below, let me know if there's any other series of hers that you've read that are just as cozy as this one, because this one is very, very cozy dominant and not mystery dominant. It is extremely cozy. If Laura Bradford has written another series just as cozy as this one, please let me know, because I gotta read it now, like yesterday, like as soon as I possibly can, once I stop recording, as soon as I get that first comment. Let me know in the comments below. I need me some more Laura Bradford on that level. Oh my gosh, an overwhelming 5 stars from me. And the final book that I read this week was this book, Death of a Cupcake Queen by Lee and Hollis. Lee Hollis is a pen name for a brother-sister authoring duo, and so I call them Lee and Hollis as opposed to Lee Hollis. Okay, now they're up to date with that. This is book number 7, I believe. No, 6. Okay, 7 I'm reading in June. This is book number 6 in the Hayley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery Series. The premise of the series as a whole is that we follow Hayley Powell, who is a food and wine columnist, and in every book there are some of her columns pieced and parceled out throughout the books. I don't know why that was so hard to say. Anyway, these columns will start with Hayley talking about something random that she's experienced, and then we'll end with her linking her experience to 2 recipes, one being a cocktail recipe and the other being a food recipe. I love the columns that Hayley Powell writes so much, and they have me heavily invested in the story and the series as a whole. I've had some things that have let me down with the series as a whole, but I'm doing this as a buddy read over on my Discord, and my mother, who we call Mama Francy, is joining us for this one, and we all, whoever's a part of it, plan to get through to book number 16 and read book 16 in December. So yeah, we'll see how we go. But this is book number 6. All right, so let me talk to you about my thoughts and feelings on this one. Okay, so in this one, Hayley Powell and her friends are invited to their high school reunion. While there, the queen bee from back in their high school days, who was mostly horrible to Hayley and her friends, is murdered. So Hayley, as has become the accepted norm now, sets out to solve the case. All right, so to my thoughts. Let's start with that. How in the world has it just become the norm that Hayley will solve cases It literally says, and this, I'm saying this spoiler free, it literally says in the book that the officer, which is her brother's boyfriend, was telling her everything while they were at the crime scene because he just knew she'd be sleuthing and it would help her. Wait, what? I thought most cops told cozy protagonists to stop and please don't look into this like last time. But apparently, in this one, it's just suddenly accepted. Okay, next, the mystery. I'm sorry, but to me, I found this boring. I've seen it done before. Queen Bee, that most loved, but was mean to the main character, is murdered. A lot of people like her, but the main character obviously doesn't because she was mean to her, and she was murdered at a reunion. I've literally read this before, and I will name names. Class reunions are murder. It's the exact same setup to this book. And it just, I don't know, it just annoyed me because I've read it before. I've been there, I've done that. And I actually didn't like Class Reunions on Murder. I love the rest of that series, which I can't believe for a moment. I don't remember what the series is called, but that whole series by Libby Klein. I loved every other book but the first one, Class Reunions on Murder, and this mystery in Death of a Cupcake Queen is exactly the same as Class Reunions on Murder. I'm not saying either of the authors are copying each other, but it's just annoying to me. I've already read this thing, so, you know, it just, I don't know. It was rather boring for me. But anyway, so I really had no interest in it. Sure, the backstory that came with the reveal was good and it was intriguing, I'd even go as far to say, but the reveal itself seemed lazy. Yep. So again, we had a reveal that let me down in pros and cons, and we had a reveal that let me down in this one. Oh my gosh. Very lazy. Very lazy. You're gonna get honesty here at the Miss Francy Reads channel. And for those of you who've been with me for a while, you know this. If I love a book, I'm gonna gush about it. That is common. What is not as common, but I always do, is if I don't like something, you're gonna know about it. The reveal in this book, just like with pros and cons, was lazy. It was so, I really did not appreciate it. I don't like lazy reveals. They annoy me because when it comes to any sort of a mystery, be it a cozy mystery or a standard mystery book, I am really invested in the mystery and I want to know who done it and why. And when we find out who done it by means of something lazy, that annoys me. And that definitely happened in this book and Pros and Cons. And that just really, really, really let me down. So, yeah, so as I was saying earlier, you know, about with Amanda Flower's Pros and Cons, with this one, it is book 6 in the same cozy mystery series, and I'm sure it's tough to keep coming up with different reveals. But in saying that, the reveal just felt lazy. So, what do you want me to do? Anyway, have I given you the star rating? I gave this book 3 stars, so let's put that up on the screen if I haven't already. Honestly, the saving grace was everything outside of the mystery for me. I love the Island Food and Spirits column Hayley writes, and love seeing all the recipes and how they connect to whatever's in Hayley's column at that point. I love her brother Randy, and his love and also love continuing to see his relationship with his partner Sergio. It's nice also seeing Hayley's relationship with her daughter Gemma, and though he only had one memorable line, it was good to see her son in this one too. I've always loved Mona, who is Hayley's friend, so I enjoyed the moments with her as well, but everything else just came across as rather blah, and I'm hoping for better in the next one. Okay, now I need to address the elephant in the room. Okay, so when I was doing my reading vlog last week, I think it was. Yes. Okay. I was talking about picking up this book and that it was potentially going to feature something. And if it featured that thing, I would DNF. I'm going to discuss what the thing was, and then I'm going to discuss my thoughts and feelings. Okay. So, yeah. Stick around. We're going to discuss that. It's not a spoiler. It's just something that comes up randomly in the book that is not a spoiler at all. We're going to go through this, and then after that, I'm going to tell you what I plan to read for this coming week. So, yeah, let's go into that now. Okay. So this book, as I said, is book number 6, Death by Cupcake Queen. In book number 4, there was a lot of issue I took a lot of umbrage with a number of scenes revolving a character. I'm trying to keep this spoiler free. Revolving a character in book 4 that was described as overweight, and any time that the protagonist or anyone else could make mention that she was overweight, they would. And it annoyed me. It was done so much throughout book 4 that it really got to me. And I said, if it happens again in book 5, I'm going to DNF the series because of 2 reasons. 1, not a fan of it. It's not necessary. Don't need it. 2, it's a cozy mystery series. It's to me, it stops becoming a cozy, comfortable, warm hug of a series if you're going to be constantly putting someone down for how they look. Or really putting someone down who doesn't necessarily deserve it. I mean, they look that way. Seriously, why are we being so judgmental in a cozy mystery series? In book 5, that did not happen. So, I liked book 5. It got a really high star rating from me. In book 6, it happened, but it happened extremely subtly. Extremely subtly, to the point that I thought, okay, while I still don't like this, and while I still don't think it's excusable, it was so subtly done that I was able to get over it a lot more quickly because, yeah, it's just extremely subtle. I don't know how to give you an example of it, but it would just be like a line here or there that would be like, I don't know, just to give you an example, I don't even know if I'm quoting this correctly, but for example, it might say, Peter then waddled into the room. And then we move on to the next line, which is completely different. So when you're talking about waddling, brings up an image, but it's very subtle. Where if you're saying Peter waddled into the room, and I knew that he needed to go on a diet. The fact that he wanted me to go out and buy him all of this junk food, I couldn't believe it. I would have much preferred to give him vegetables and tell him to go on a run because he needed to lose weight. That is the opposite to subtle. But if you're just saying Peter waddled into the room, and I asked Peter, this is this, which is completely irrelevant to the fact that he waddled into the room, that is very subtle. So, okay. There were like maybe 5 lines all up in the whole book where something was subtly mentioned and then we moved on from it. Because of that, and because no one seemed to be offended at all by the little subtle things that would happen, one of these lines was a quote that someone said, and the person responded to that person who said it by basically saying something along the lines of, yeah, it is what it is, get over it already, and we moved on. So honestly, as much as it annoyed me, it didn't annoy me anywhere near to the extreme that it did in book 4. And so because of that, I will keep going. But if this weight thing gets to the extreme point that it did with book 4, then I'm going to have an issue. And like I was telling you about this reveal, I will be honest and blunt with you all, and I will tell you that it happened. But if you get offended by anything to do with weight, being judged by your weight or anything like this, and you're picking up this series, skip over book 4. And when you get to this one, book 5, give it a go and see how you go with it because it's very, very, very subtle. All right, let's quickly look ahead to see what I plan to read in the upcoming week. Okay, so the next book that I plan to pick up is this book, Blue Moon by Alison Noel. This is book 2 in the Immortals series. I had a goal to read the first 2 books in this series this year and then read the rest next year. I'm looking forward to it. It is a YA, I think it's a fantasy or paranormal. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Then after that, I plan to pick up my last book of this month, which is this book, Prince Caspian by C.S. Lewis. This is book number 4 in the Chronicles of Narnia series, which will help to get me over halfway through this series that's on my SAS list. And then I'll pick up this book, my first book on my June TBR, The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, which is an adult thriller. And that is it. That is where I am going to leave it for another reading week. How did your reading week go? Let me know in the comment section below. But in the meantime, that is where I am going to leave it, letting you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.